Christine. Hey, Mom. Hey, lady. Ah. Happy Wild Woman Wednesday, everybody. I'm super excited to be back with you. You know I love my Wednesdays. And today we're going to be talking all about manifestation, as our Wild Woman special guest has been teaching and studying manifestation for over 15 years. And she's really going to be sharing with us some practical strategies so that we can really come into our own alignment and crystallize our visions to bring our dreams into reality. She's going to share with us some of the very, very, very techniques that she has used to really manifest these big, big, big ticket items in her life. And I'm going to let her tell you all about them. She's also a soul strategist and consultant, the founder of OE Girl. She's a podcast host. That's how we met. An author, getting ready to be a third-time author. And I'm sure I'm forgetting because there's just so many beautiful things that our guest today is doing in the world. And I'm just so excited to bring her high vibrations on with us. Hello, 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 everybody. So without further ado, I introduce you to Andi Eaton. Let me bring her on here. Yay! We'll put the music back on that was inspired by her. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi. Hello.
As it was so great to see you again. It's been a hot minute.
I know. Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled to see your beautiful face.
Likewise. Welcome everybody, and please get your manifestation questions ready because we are diving in and we are diving deep. I don't want to waste a minute of time. I want you just to be sharing your brilliance with us.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it. But before we do it, I just have to begin with what I begin with every week. And that's just asking you, what does it mean to you to be a wild woman?
Oh gosh, we are such wild women, aren't we? We are so very much that. I think for me, what it really means is being able to live my truth, being able to live a life that is fully free, that I'm able to express from my heart and to follow the vision and the path that I find is constantly downloaded from something in the ether that's just guiding me along. And, you know, it's being a wild woman it's so empowering to be with other wild women, because every time we do this, I'm just re-lit up about how magical it is to get to follow our path in that way. So that's really what it means for me, being on the path, being free to follow it, going for it, doing it.
Yes. I love it. And so what you said about being able to share it in this way is so much of why I created this series, right? So that we can be reflections of each other and wake up that wildness within one another and be and to just spread the light and spread the power in our own unique way. So thank you.
Yes.
So my first question for you, thank you, is, what's super interesting to me is that, you've been in this work of manifestation for quite some time. Before, when it was still really in the realms of the woo, we'll just say that. And some people probably still think it is in the woo. So can you talk about how did you start your path of bringing these tools of meditation and studying the stars and manifestation into your daily life? Because I'm assuming it started with your own personal journey versus, right?
Of course. Yeah, what's really interesting is I was working in a corporate environment when I really started on this path. Mm-hmm. And I felt really fortunate that the corporate environment that I was working in, I was working for an Ayurvedic beauty brand. Mm-hmm. And I had a CEO that said to me very early on in my career, I mean, I must have been 23 or 24. And it was my first time at the boardroom table. And I was really nervous, and I had done a lot of work to prep to be in that meeting. And she said to me after the meeting, she said, "Hey, I want you to know this," because we were the only two women in the room. And so she said, "I want you to know this. I'm so excited and impressed that you showed up today fully prepared for the meeting. You did your research, you brought it, you like had a really deep understanding of what was going on in the meeting. And I want you to remember that a part of the reason you're invited to this table is because you are intuitively guided, and you need to trust that. And we know that you're going to bring something to the conversation that the guys in the room, in that particular room at least, aren't connected to. So know that I trust you to follow that path and to bring that to the conversation. So that gave me that allowance from her, gave me the open door to pursue whatever I felt I needed to pursue in the next evolution of my career. So the next move I made was I was young, and I was leading a sales and marketing team. And I remember I had just read the book, The Secret. I was studying the law of attraction, and I decided I was going to bring that into a sales meeting. I was going to bring that into our sales meeting. We'd been doing a lot of kind of book clubbing on the team, and we were reading things that were very business focused. And I was like, you know what? I want to bring this into the conversation. And so I brought it to my team, and I remember opening that meeting that day with a moment of breath and a moment of quiet. So it was like the first time I brought a little bit of meditation into a team meeting. And then I invited the team to book club together and read The Secret to study the law of attraction.
And they were open to it. You didn't have people being like, this girl's crazy, or
they were like, you know, okay, whatever. We were a tight team, and we had really great relationships, and so we did it. And our team that year just nailed it. Like, we had such a strong year, and we were like, it just really brought us closer together, and we were able to see the results that we were getting. And it was all around following our intuition, connecting to each other via heart, having this relationship that looked quite different from what we were seeing out in the other teams. And so that was really the start for me. I saw the results that my team was able to get by leaning into the law of attraction and by approaching business really differently. And we walked out of that year. We won all the sales and marketing awards for the year. And after that, I was like, you know, there's something here, and I need to apply this, not just to my work life and to getting results on my team, but I need to apply this in every facet of my life. And I just felt allowed to do that by the people I was surrounding myself with. And that was really the beginning for me.
Wow. So The Secret was like the initial kickoff point. Obviously, yes, we all obviously have natural intuition, and you were already dialed in and tuned into that. And it sounds like given permission to allow your intuition to guide you. I know yogic principles and meditation are very important in the work you share in the world and in your own personal life and rituals. Was this all happening simultaneously, or did you find one before, at that point? Were you already meditating? Were you already on your yogic path, or was this all happening? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So the Secret came first, and now when I look back at that, there's so much I love about The Secret, and my process has changed quite a bit from that time to now. So that looks quite different. And over the course of the next couple of years, I really found myself on my yogic journey, on my meditation path. And that really opened up for me. It was interesting. They were like kind of siloed. I was like doing this one thing, and then I was starting on this path. This meditation path really started first. And then I had this moment of awareness of how intertwined they actually were, and that I was able to manifest more, that things were coming through more frequently, and things that I didn't even know I needed were starting to show up for me when I was really true to my practice. And now I get it clearly. It's like when I'm aligned, when I'm open, when I'm a vessel, when I'm able to connect to my intuition, when I'm using my body as a place of celebration, and when I'm in that space, then what's meant for me finds me much more quickly. So it took a little time to see those two things as the aligned path that they truly are. The wild thing about my meditation practice, this is kind of how it came to be. So I had manifested this experience. I had finally left the corporate job, and this was a few years after this experience with my team at work. I had left the corporate job, and I was starting to decide what I was going to do next. And I had manifested this opportunity to live on the southern coast of Spain. I had a friend. I really, this is not as glamorous as it's going to sound.
Oh, okay. Like, I want to manifest a home on the southern tip of Spain.
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting, but it's like, it sounds like, oh, I just was like moving to the southern coast of Spain and like living on the Mediterranean. Woo! I mean, it was a little like that, but my friend, I had a great friend. His father had passed. I was great friends with his whole family, and his father had gone to this house that they'd owned since they were little. He was a little tiny kid, my friend. His father had gone every summer, and so his father had just passed, and my friend came to me and said, hey, I know you just left the job. I know you're sorting out what's next. I was working on my first book. He said, what would you think about going and staying in my dad's house and helping me to do some work to like get things organized and just kind of help me to sort out what's happening with my dad's house over on the southern coast of Spain. So I was like, yes, I will take that on. Of course, I'll take that on. I got there. It was beautiful. There was nothing that had to get really sorted out. His dad was just like this really impeccable human being. And, even his suits were still hung in the closet just beautifully. It was just like this lovely, lovely divine experience. So I get there and I'm like, okay, I've clearly manifested this opportunity to spend this summer writing in this beautiful place. And when I got there, there was literally, the house was sitting in the shadow of the largest Buddhist stupa in the West. So a stupa is a temple. So I'm literally living next door to the Buddhist temple, and it's open multiple times a day for free meditation classes and workshops. So I was like, well, I can't not.
This might be a sign that I should be paying attention to.
Yeah, I was like, yes, I've been practicing some meditation, but not on this level. And so that changed everything in terms of my meditation practice, because it was right there. I had to go. I had to spend the time there. So I spent that summer really for like the next 5 months, actually, twice a day in the temple practicing meditation, and really upping my yoga practice too, because I was living right there on the beach. So I was doing yoga on the beach, writing during the day, and going to meditation twice a day. And so I came out of that and was like, oh, okay, like here we go. And that's when I started to outline what my manifestation process looks like, because I was starting to get really clear on how it was truly working for me, and I wanted to share that with others. So that was the next move.
Amazing. And honestly, like when you were talking about the meditation going twice a day, and like I just sort of like my heart was just going like I could like feel that energy somehow of that. Just amazing. Would you be willing to, I mean, I know this isn't a workshop, but this is an introduction. Would you be willing to, first of all, maybe share some of the, like what manifestation is and what manifestation is not? And then could you walk us through some of your steps?
Yeah, sure. I would love to. I'd be absolutely happy to. And I'll tell you this too. So for folks that are watching or watching this back later, I just did an 8-series show on Pinterest TV that it's all saved. Pinterest TV, it's a brand new thing, but it's like, just like you can go look at a pin on Pinterest, you can go back and watch these episodes. So for anyone who's like, because I'm gonna give it to you pretty quick, but if someone's like, ooh, I want more of this, you can go back and watch those episodes, and there's so much juicy stuff in those episodes. So I just wanted to mention that as a resource. It was so much fun getting to put that show together for Pinterest, and it's all on Pinterest, saved there for you to go watch. So okay, manifestation, what it is. It's really when we are holding a vision for something that we want to create in our life, something that we want to call in our life. And we call that vision bring that vision to life by aligning our thoughts, our feelings, our emotional state of being, and our action. So it really requires all components there: thoughts, feelings, the emotional state of being, and action taking. So when we're able to get aligned and bring those four components together, we can start to dial into the vision that we have for ourselves. And sometimes we only can see so far, and the universe knows there's something greater for us beyond what we're seeing. But when we start to bring those four things together, we can get on that path towards the vision, and then so much more can open up for us. When I had that experience of manifesting that time living in Spain, I wasn't like sitting around going, how do I bring together my life in a way where I can go live on the southern coast of Spain? That was not even what I was thinking. But I was starting to think about, how can I live in a place where I've got lots of peace and quiet, where I can write and reflect, where I can connect more deeply into my practices, where I can have a bit of a reset in life. I'm leaving a corporate job and considering what's next. So those were the things I was thinking about. So I was starting to really feel into that, having the emotional awareness of what was going to really light me up next. And the action was, I was having conversations with people and saying, hey, I want to go do this. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to look like, but there's going to be something for me that's going to look a little bit different from what I'm doing right now. And I'm envisioning myself kind of living on a seaside and writing and practicing yoga and spending a lot of time alone and reflection. And that's the action part. And then of course my friend came to me and said, hey, I've got the place for you. I've got this thing for you. So that's what manifestation really looks like. And what manifestation is not is superstition, spiritual bypassing. So what does that look like? So superstition would be, well, if I don't sit down and meditate every single morning and get really clear in my vision and make a vision board and journal every single night, then my manifestations can't come through. So that would be superstition. That would be,
or I can mess it up somehow. Like
yeah,
I can be meditating wrong, or I did the vision wrong, or I did, right? I feel like that come into play in people.
Yeah.
Like somehow, oh my gosh, like it was the new moon and I missed the window of time of the opening, and now it's like I did the opposite effect.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that going around right now. A really good example is we're in the midst of this eclipse season, and there's a lot of folks out there that say you can't manifest during the eclipses.
Or Mercury retrograde.
Or during Mercury retrograde, right? So there's like all this cosmic energy, and it's like, oh no, I better not think about what it is that I really want to create in my life. Because if I do, or if I sit down and actually commit to my practice, am I like reversing what's possible because it's an eclipse and it's Mercury retrograde and now I'm screwing it all up? That is not how manifestation works. We are always in communication with self, with the universe. As Drew just said in the chat, there's a balance that we're always experiencing. And so when we get superstitious, when we start spiritual bypass, then we just take ourselves out of flow. We're just not in it. And so what I love about yoga, breath work, meditation in regards to how it aligns to manifestation is when we're practicing those daily rituals, when we're committed to care of self, we are able to open up those channels in a really beautiful way so that we can be aligned to what is meant for us.
Yeah.
We're there. Yeah. So that's what manifestation is. And
can I continue for just one moment? Just
because
I feel like this is a very important concept or thing for people to be aware of, because I think it is prevalent in the spiritual communities as an issue. That's not the right word, but is this concept of spiritual bypass. Would you talk a little bit about what spiritual bypass in regards to manifestation is?
So spiritual bypassing is really when we have something going on that we need to spend some time working through, some shadow that we need to spend some time with.
Sure.
When we have some trauma or just some triggers that are going on in our lives, and rather than sitting with those things, spending the time really working through those things, taking the time to be with shadow, to reflect on what we've experienced in our life and how it shaped us, and sometimes even expressing some gratitude for what it's what it's created for us in terms of new paths. When we skip all that and we decide, okay, I'm gonna do these spiritual practices, but I'm not gonna look at that stuff. One of the things that a good example of this is when you've loved and lighted yourself so much that you can't see that there's some darkness that you need to spend some time with in your life because you're just so love and light all the time. There's some spiritual bypassing going on there. And when we do that, inevitably what's happening is we're just pushing down the things that ultimately are shaping our subconscious and shaping who we are. And we're not ever truly finding alignment because we're just ignoring it. We're thinking that our practice is enough to get us out of that without really facing the things that we need to spend some time on.
Could spiritual bypass also, I'm just thinking in regards to manifestation, look like, I'm just gonna say I want the house in Spain and I want this and this, but then not take action?
Yes.
Like I've been saying my affirmations and I've been this, but like there's no other action being taken beyond just saying that's what you want. Like you're skipping the work. Like you're like manifestation is not like hocus pocus. Like you actually do have to do work. But when you are in alignment and you are in that flow, then it does become magic.
Totally. I have a podcast episode that I recorded maybe a month or two ago, and I titled it "Why Positive Affirmations Aren't Enough," because it's like we can't just sit and say, I am bountiful, beautiful, blissful. I am bountiful, bountiful, beautiful, blissful. And now I'm going to call in the house, and now I'm going to call in the partnership, and now I'm calling in all the money. And then we stop there. And then we think, okay, what happened? I was saying the affirmations. I'm bountiful, blissful, and beautiful. I'm saying it, but like the things aren't showing up for me. What's up? Like that is definitely some spiritual bypassing, thinking that just saying it. We joke in some of my classes that the action part, we can't just sit around and eat bonbons and watch Netflix. Like sounds really fun. It would be really great if we could like make our manifestation list, create our vision board, and then just sit back and be like, all right, now I'm turning on,
Here comes my $1 million.
Right, I'm turning on Netflix, popping the popcorn, and my $1 million is about to hit the bank account. Like that's just not reality of how it's going to work. Sure, it could happen. Sure, crazier things have happened. But the reality is we have to do the work, and there's some action in that too. Yes. Okay, I'll stop interrupting your process. No, that's great. That's such a good question. Okay, so I'll take you through the steps, and I'll give them to you. I'll give them to you pretty quickly. And like I said, there's that Pinterest TV episode where you can go get more detail on this. And we also have on my website a free copy of the 8 steps. So if someone's like, okay, I'm trying to take notes, but I'm like driving or I'm doing other things. I hope you're not driving, watching IGTV, but I'm doing other things. Right.
So the replay will be available, and we'll put the links to everything in the show notes so you can access it really easily.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got that for you. Okay. So the first step is to spend time working on those limiting beliefs. I used to say step 1 is eliminate the limiting beliefs. The reality is we're never going to fully eliminate them. Just spending time with them, starting to face what they are, getting really clear on where you're holding yourself back, what's happened in your life that's creating some stagnancy for you, getting some clarity on that. That's step 1. And it's a big step. That's not something that you're just like, all right, let me just sit down and write them all out. What are the things holding me back? But starting to spend time there, really looking at why are you not yet achieving the things that you're dreaming of? What's holding you back from that? Getting really clear on that. So that's step 1. Step 2 is making your list. So starting to write lists of what it is that you want to call in. And this is not a one-time thing. I suggest writing lists for all sorts of things. So if you want to call in a new job, start getting really specific about how that job's going to make you feel. What's going to be going on in that job in terms of who you're going to be interacting with. You can talk about the money you want to make in the job, but more, what are you going to do with your life once you have that job and you have that money? So start to really envision that job by creating a really detailed list of what it is that you're calling in. And you can make that about your job, about your relationships, about your home, about your well-being. I like to make brand new lists for all of those categories pretty regularly. I'm always checking back in with those lists. So that's step 2.
So it's okay to make multiple lists simultaneously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have a course that we offer through we a couple of times a year. It's called Manifestation Blueprint, and we make lists about finances, relationships, career, home. We make lots of lists. There's lots of list making going on. So make all the lists, get a journal, make all the lists. I have a journal that's just my manifestation journal, and it's just full of lists of things that I'm calling in my life. And that's going to help you to get clarity too about where you should really spend your time and put your focus. So that's the second step. The third is to start to work on that energetic frequency. And this is where meditation and yoga and dance and movement and all that good stuff comes in. Work on that frequency. Just work on feeling yourself and feeling beautiful inside and through how you express. So that's a really fun part of the process, is just starting to find a practice where you can spend time with your energy and work through practices that make you feel amazing. So that's the third step. Okay, fourth step. This is a really fun one too. Expand your circle. Find people that you can see in them where you're going. So like, let's say, a fun example would be, let's say you want to write a book. Okay, Christy's written a book, Andy's written a book. I'm going to go hang out with Christy and Andy because they can give me some perspective and inspiration around what it's like to write a book. So these are the people I want to spend my time with as I'm dreaming about writing a book. So they're going to guide me, they're going to give me advice. And sometimes we may not have the ability to go have a coffee date with Christy and Andy, but what you can do is show up for Wild Woman Wednesday and get to know what we're up to this way and be inspired in this way. And so expanding the circle can happen lots of ways. It can be in real life, or it could just be by what you're consuming. Read books that expand you, watch documentaries that expand you, constantly be seeking out that future version of you through the people that you spend the most time with. So that's the fourth step. Okay, so then the fifth step is making space. And this can look like a lot of different things. This is physical space, emotional space, mental space. And a really great place to start is just by cleaning up your physical space. So straighten up your office, wherever it is that you meditate, wherever it is that you do yoga, make sure those spaces feel really sacred. Clean up your bedroom, make sure the spaces where you make out and sleep feel really sacred. Really making your spaces feel just really nurturing and clear of clutter. Get the clutter out. An example that I share often is when we're calling in money. So think about, where do I keep my money? So, okay, it's probably in a bank account online. Is my computer cleaned up so that when I get on my computer to go check my bank account each day, I'm not like looking at a bunch of junk on the screen? Is my wallet cleaned up? Or do I have a bunch of old business cards and dry cleaning receipts and all sorts of, Trader Joe's receipts shoved in the wallet, and now I can't see money living here because it's full of other junk? So really think about cleaning up space that way. And then as you clean up space that way, you're going to inevitably start to clean up internal space as well. So that is step 5, making space. Then the next step, step 6, there's 8. So step 6 is following the guides. And the guides can look like a lot of different things for different people. Guides could be those intuitive hunches, those little divine hits that say, hey, go check out this coffee shop today versus this coffee shop. What might happen there, who knows? But maybe you end up having a conversation with someone who has a recommendation for you about a new job, if that's what you're looking for. Or maybe it's just hey, try this route today versus this route when you're going out for your morning hike. Just see what starts to open up when you really listen to the guides. And for some people, that might be spirit guides, that might be ancestors. And for others, it might be just listening to the wisdom that is in your heart and allowing that trust to really become something that you're comfortable being with. So that is step 6. Step 7, now we take action. So now get out there and do the things. Get out there and make the connections happen, follow the guide, and actually go forward. I had a DM the other day from a gal that was telling me that she's been thinking about exploring a new career path for years. And she's like, I'm just going to use the 8 steps and work through this. And when she got to step 7, the action was to make her resume look beautiful, to rework it in a way that she hadn't considered in a long time, to send messages to people who she'd worked with before and get some really great testimonials about what she'd done for them. And she said when she went in finally, and then she applied for a job that she was really excited about. She said when she went in, there was like no doubt she was going to get the job. She's like, I had done this work and the action I had taken up to that point. I knew my resume was banging. The testimonials I had were amazing. I'd applied with this job with so much confidence that I went in and was like, of course I'm going to get it. And I can ask for more money than they initially were even going to offer because I'm so worthy. So that action is so important. And I think sometimes that's a piece that we're like, all right, I did all the things. Now what happens? We got to take action. So that's step 7. And then the last step is be open to receive. So don't self-sabotage. Don't self-sabotage. Know that you are worthy and that whatever it is that you're calling in is for you. And when it shows itself to you, allow it in. Allow yourself to receive and then repeat the process. It's that receive and repeat is that final step.
I love it because this is obviously a map of manifestation, but it's also a map of empowerment. It's a map of building your confidence. It's a map of getting to know yourself, right? And to get clear on what it is you really want, right? And on every level by, facing your limited beliefs. What is it that I really want to feel and express and who I want to be around and the people I want to be around, the vibration I want to operate in. And it's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I know our time is almost up, but I do have 2 other questions for you.
Yeah, of course.
That's okay. Okay, great. Because I know you just went through this process and really manifested one of these big ticket items. So share what that is and okay.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so on my vision board beginning of the year went a retreat house in the forest. So Christy, you know this. I moved to LA about a year ago, and this was not something on my list then, but I moved to LA, have absolutely loved being here. It's been so wonderful, so special. And kind of coming into the end of the year, I was starting to have this moment of like, I'm loving California so much. And now the next thing I want is a retreat house in the forest where I can go and spend time, but also where I can open up space to my community to offer really beautiful personal well-being retreats. So this would be a place where I'm providing the space, I'm providing the tools, and then you go and you do your thing in the forest. So went on the vision board in January and we closed 2 Fridays ago. So I've been up there working on it. And let me tell you, like, I wrote these 8 steps and I still have to work through them every time and remind myself of how important it is to not skip a step. So the first part of limiting beliefs, there were moments where I was like, am I a person that can buy I just moved here a year ago. Like, I just found my dream house and I feel amazing about this experience. Am I a person that can up level like this? Is this a thing that's going to happen? So no matter where you're at, you're going to go through those moments and you're going to have experiences that are going to take you a little bit off the path, and you're going to have to recalibrate. But the 8 steps help you to get recentered, stay grounded. About halfway through the process of, there was a couple of places that I had put offers in that didn't go through. There's lots of craziness in the real estate market. So I just reminded myself, stay in the process, stay in the flow, and what's for you is going to find you. And we just closed 2 weeks ago. So feeling really excited to start to share that.
And is that in California as well, or where is this?
Yeah. So it's right up in the mountains, an hour and a half out of LA. So it's right between Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear. So it's so beautiful. It sits right on a little lake. So we're going to have all sorts of like good stuff for people that want to go up and have a personal retreat. I think we're going to open by the end of June. We're trying to move pretty fast. Yeah. It's a beautiful place. Yeah. Thank you. It's really beautiful already. And so we're just doing work to really make it feel like like us, like me, my partner Ben and I were doing this together, and to really fill it up with all the things that would make a personal retreat feel really special and empowering and amazing. So
incredible.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to go myself.
I know. I can't wait for you to get to go experience it.
Yay. And my last question is just how do we find more of you? I'm sure so many people are inspired by this conversation. Obviously, we know that the Pinterest videos are accessible and download. But yes, what are all the ways we can find you and work with you?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking that. So definitely come on over to my Instagram page, which is Wee Wee Girl, and you can get all the good, juicy stuff at the link that's there on the Instagram page. Wee Wee Girl is our blog. We have a digital wellness studio, Wee Wee Studio, where we teach personal well-being, empowerment courses, and manifestation courses. So you can come over and check that out. And then we have the podcast, which is your woo-woo best friend. They have to come and listen to the episode that you're on, Christy, because it's so good. And then the retreat house is available on Wee Wee Studio too. So you can get on the wait list now to go have a personal retreat this summer or fall or sometime next year.
So incredible. So incredible. Thank you for the dedication to your work, of being on this path of really of service, of helping not only your own dreams come true, but the dreams of so many others. And just so grateful that you made the time to be with us today. And I'm going to start working these 8 steps because I'm in a big place of transition right now. So I'll let you know how it goes. One last thing I wanted to tell you, which I don't know if we talked about before, but I know you are a Leo sun sign, and you're Capricorn. I'm the reverse. I'm a Capricorn and I'm a Leo rising.
Oh yeah, we have that. We have that same frequency. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good. That Capricorn energy, like the action taking, you can get stuff done. It's so good. It's like the CEO of the zodiac. So I love that. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah, I was like, how did I not realize this before? You know?
I know. I don't know how. Maybe I knew that at one point, but I'm so glad you reminded me. Yes. Yeah.
Well, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Thank you, everyone who's live. Thank you, everyone who's watching the recording now. Please check out all of Andi's amazing offerings. And like she said, there's a free download of everything we talked about on her website. I'll include it in the show notes. And then there's a video series on Pinterest, and then all the other incredible programs you can take advantage of. And we'll be back here next week with Felicia Tomasco, the editor-in-chief of LA Yoga Magazine. All right, happy Wild Woman, everybody.